What's going on, everyone? My name's Tenebris Infinite, and today we're going to talk about the region that I think is going to be the next region we're going to see revamps and facelifts in. And that region is, drumroll please, the North Coast! Hands down, my favorite region in the whole game, the day-old meme 1v1 me in Alvaret Plains. And in all honesty, this is one of the regions that I want the least done to. But from what we're seeing, it's going in a direction that I think will be kind of the best middle ground of leaving Alvaret Plains as this very wide open expanse of plains, but also adding a lot more flavor and a lot more of the current Generation Zero character to the region as well. Now, one of the coolest things that we've seen from the beginning of Landfall till now is the progression of the Soviet machines and the way the Soviet machines are kind of just taking over the North with this very aggressive approach to just fighting everything in their path to claim whatever land and territory they can from where they've landed from. And you're probably thinking, but there's no hovercrafts in the North Coast, so they haven't landed there yet, and that's entirely true. And probably what we're seeing at this point is kind of like the phase 1 of taking over the North Coast, where the Soviet machines are moving into this area and actually just trying to cull the Phoenix forces in the area before the hovercrafts start landing. But the big question is if we do see more hovercrafts land here in the North Coast, will that be picking up from the point after Bolshevik went crazy and Tatiana and him had their kind of relationship issues, marital problems or something like that, and parted ways? So the question is will these Soviet forces that land here in the North Coast, provided they do, will they be reinforcing Bolshevik, or will they be reinforcing Tatiana here? That's something that we're going to have to just wait to find out. But we do have a bit of an idea of what this facelift is going to look like in terms of at least certain features of the region. And first and foremost, one of the most unassuming features that has cropped up in the North Coast here, this forest. Beyond the Soviet machines that are clearly advancing towards this forest, you can find a couple wolves stationed just outside of the forest as a couple set spawns when you enter into the North Coast fresh. But beyond that, you can also find lynx patrolling through this forest. And there's something kind of interesting about this clearing here, too. I have a strong sneaking suspicion that we're going to see some sort of a Soviet recon camp somewhere amidst this forest, and this large clearing looks like a pretty prime spot. And then just beyond the forest, you find what is the formation of what's going to be a future trench line here in Generation Zero. This one's really cool because we never got to see the last trench line and its formative stages. We just saw the trench line at the end result, I'm pretty sure. Whereas this time, we're getting the kind of digging and terrain formation before we're actually going to see the rest of this trench line built up, with probably a whole bunch of military installations. The big question is, though, will this be a military trench line like what we saw down in the farmlands, where it was set up by the Swedish military forces, or will this be a trench line that was set up by the Soviets somehow? If it was set up by the Soviets, I kind of hope that we'll get, a digger version of the wolf, something with, maybe a dump truck module on the front of it that just, digs for them or something like that. That way we could have maybe a bit of a in-game explanation as to how the Soviets set up a trench line lightning fast, because with the Phoenix Rising one, the presumption was that trench line had been around for quite a while. Though, I'm not gonna lie, even if we don't get an in-game explanation to how they built the trenches, the idea of Soviet-made-up trenches is really cool. I love the design of the Soviet forces, kind of future tech, made out of cement and steel approach to things. And if we have a trench line that's kind of along that same vein of like art style and motif and stuff, I think that that's going to be a super cool location to have fights from. So for a second here, let's look at the old trenches that we have and kind of postulate on what our new trenches will potentially look like. And one of the big things, and I love this hidden little feature of these like hidden adrenaline and stuff, because I believe the team member was Patrick that made it, and it was an homage to classic Doom games, and the potential for us to have maybe a few more of these in interesting ways with the Soviets is very, very real. But the other thing too, and this is what will make Soviet trenches really cool to fight from and really cool to explore, is the fact that they won't be just like wood and sandbags kind of holding everything together all jimmy-rigged and stuff. I feel like maybe they'll be a little bit more structured and organized as their bases are, and a little bit more fortified and built out of, like, again, their existing prefabricated steel and cement structures. Just a small hypothesis I have on this trench line here is that this larger area here is going to be connected potentially underground over to the other kind of semicircle of trenches that are on the other side of this plateau here. Something that I've kind of realized as we've gone through a lot of these facelifts is that a lot of times the things that we see have actually been worked on for quite a long time and already planned and designed, and I feel like it's again going to be a similar scenario here with the North Coast, where there's probably things that are already in place in some developer version of the game, and we just have to wait down the pipeline for optimizations and stuff like that to get that in our version in an update in the future. But really, I'm just super stoked to have a new set of trenches that we'll be able to fight from at some point in the future, because trench warfare in Generation Zero is super underrated, but very, very fun. So, I'm gonna turn this over here at this point to you dudes. Let me know, what do you think? Do you think that these trenches are going to be Soviet-made, or do you think that it's going to be the Swedish forces? Or do you think that it might be a wild card, like a resistance-made set of trenches, or even maybe Iron Church? But beyond this new forest and what might be the formative stages of a brand new trench line here in Generation Zero, there's a couple more things that point towards the North Coast being the next region for us. First of all, the first Soviet camp that we've seen in the North Coast that we can't see in the North Coast, the invisible Soviet camp that shows up on consoles, as well as potentially the Windows version. Then, the buildings that we can see on the map but we can't see in the game. They exist, but they do not exist. Those definitely are going to be coming to the game sometime soon if they already have, like, their map marker and everything like that in the game. Big whoopsie on it coming through to our version, but sometimes I wonder if it's a whoopsie or if the developers are like purposefully leaving these things in there so that we can find them and get all hyped about it. Oh yeah, and then this hole that's been here since January, there's a sinkhole. I wonder, like, who do you call for a sinkhole? You sinkhole busters? Anyway, I'm getting way off track here. The main point is, I think that from these, like, what, 5, 6 things, that is a lot of evidence that the next region we're going to see get any sort of facelifts or regional revamps done to is going to be the North Coast. With the forest region reaching its kind of finalized state and the marshlands just kind of reaching its like midway point, it really seems to me that the North Coast will be next. We'll see that start up while the marshlands gets finished, and then maybe while that one gets finished up, we'll see the mountains region get worked on. And then that's the whole dang map, man. huge props to the team for the continuated effort to bring the entire map up to its potential and up to snuff here for Generation Zero. But my dudes, again, let me know all of your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. But for now, thank you for being awesome, and I will catch you all in the next one. Until then, peace.